Hello everyone, in today's lesson we're going to talk about reflexive constructions. By now you're very familiar with reflexive verbs, but there are other situations in which we use the reflexives. So let's begin. Although you may know these, we're going to begin by reviewing what constitutes a reflexive verb. So reflexive verbs are when we have a subject and that subject performs and receives the action. The most common ones are verbs that express daily routines, and you're very familiar with this. So when we talk about dormirse, despertarse, bañarse, sentarse, etc., all these actions, we perform them and receive them at the same time. So let's quickly review what are the reflexive pronouns in the singular form. So if the subject is yo, the pronoun will be me, or the equivalent of myself. Tú, te, or yourself. Él, ella, usted, se, which is the equivalent of himself, herself, and itself. Pronouns in the plural form. So if the subject is nosotros, the reflexive pronoun will be nos, equivalent to ourselves. Ustedes, ellos, ellas, which is se, and is the equivalent of yourselves and themselves. So if we look at the sentence, I wash my hands, which, as you already know, it means me lavo las manos. Notice that the pronoun is located right before the verb when it's conjugated. So basically, reflexive pronouns follow the same rules as direct object pronouns. So now let's take a look at the rules when we use reflexive constructions. So the first one, which is the easiest one and the one that you already know, is with verbs that indicate daily routines. So let's take a look at an example. Mi padre se afeita todos los días. And the reflexive pronoun in this sentence is se. The second rule is when we want to express a change in condition or a change in an emotional state. So basically is when we want to express a change in feelings or moods, and is the equivalent in English of the verb to get or to become. So for example, if we want to say to get angry, then we would simply use the form enojarse. So let's take a look at the following examples. The first one, I am happy to see you. Me alegro de verte. That means there is a change in emotion. The person suddenly saw someone and became happy to see that person. Now, Menlo se enoja si sus atletas pierden. It means Menlo gets annoyed if the athletes lose. So now let's take a look at our third rule, and this one is to emphasize what someone does to or for himself or herself, and this usually happens with verbs that require direct objects. So, for example, let's take a look at the sentence. Me compro un libro. So notice that the direct object will be un libro, and this basically means I buy myself a book. So I use the reflexive pronoun me to stress that it was me who bought that book and that I did it for myself. Last and fourth rule to use reflexive constructions in Spanish is to express a reciprocal action. So let's take a look at the sentence. Antonio y Cleopatra se querían mucho. Notice the use of the reflexive pronoun se. So it means Antonio and Cleopatra loved each other very much. The reciprocal action is to love each other. So in sum, we use reflexive constructions to express daily routines, changing emotion to get or to become, to emphasize one actions, and to express reciprocity when we want to say each other or itself. And that's it for today.